So, welcome back to Future You, where I'm putting my co-host on the spot here, Michael Horn, who is one of the authors of Job Moves, 9 Steps for Making Progress in Your Career. We just talked, Michael, about the content of the book, but I'm kind of interested, as another author myself, and, we also get a lot of questions. I know I do, I know you do, about what is it like to write a book? I'm going to write a book. Oh, it can't be that hard to write a book. All those questions we get either by email or when we're out at conferences and so forth. So I would like to dig in the second half of the show here to talk a little bit about your process for writing. Maybe I could learn a few things, because I will tell you this last book I wrote was incredibly hard to get done. So I'm always curious about how other authors do things. And I guess the first question I have for you is, you've now written, we made the John Grisham joke earlier. You've written many, many books. Yeah. How did the process for this one differ from your previous one?
I will answer the question, but I want to hear your thoughts as we go through this as well, okay, Jeff, because you've written some pretty big best-selling books. So I'm still learning from you on a lot of this. The process on this one was different from anything else I've ever done. Not because I haven't worked with 2 other co-authors before. My first book was with 2 other co-authors. But I would say, so I'll just give folks, a little bio on my co-authors. Bob Mesta is the co-founder with Clay Christensen, or co-creator, I guess, of the Jobs to be Done theory. He's built literally over 3,500 products and services, everything from Patriot missile defense systems in the late 80s, early 90s to products in education and healthcare, and even, the fuel on your fuel gauge, Jeff, when you're driving, the arrow that says which side the tank is on. That was Bob. That was really? Bob. Yeah. So he's done like a lot of really interesting stuff in building, but he's dyslexic. Writing is the last thing that he wants to do. It's really hard when email is a big part of my life as a result to communicate. But that's something we have a lot of fun with. And then Ethan, of course, is a professor at the Harvard Business School. And he, along with Bob, originally came up with this idea in 2009 when Ethan saw Bob do one of these Jobs to be Done interviews. It was just like, it's sort of like a Chris Voss type interview. And he was just blown away by it. It was like, wow, he just discovered why someone bought a certain product. I should be doing that with people who are looking for career advice to understand why they're switching. And he built an entire course around it at Harvard to explore this over the last decade. And he's had, hundreds and hundreds of students from all walks of life. The reason I mention that is there was a lot of thinking and data already in the picture before I came into it. And then I started entering when we wrote Choosing College, and I started using the Jobs to be Done we discovered in Choosing College to make some career choices myself, which I talk about in the book. And then when Clay passed away in January of 2020, the 3 of us decided to write the book together. And Bob went deep on waves of new research and building processes to help people. And to be super honest, Jeff, I was on the sidelines kind of watching, but not doing a lot of the research at that stage, and watching Ethan sort of absorb and play with it in his classes. And then we started to put together a pitch for the book with an agent I hadn't worked with before, but she was terrific. And that's when I started to get super, super involved, Jeff, of really picking at the process and starting to think about what writing it would look like. And I led the writing process. And I made your short question much longer, but all I would say is then I really, cranked through it. And my kids remarked, "This is the fastest book you've ever written, Dad." And I was like, "Thanks, curse word enter here." It was sort of 15 years of work, but okay, thanks.
Well, if we were on Pivot, by the way, that curse word would have been a real.
Would have been okay.
Word. Okay. Yeah, it would have been okay.